Welcome, everyone. I cannot believe it. Thursday already? Macaroni and cheese. It is Thursday already. Listen, it is awesome to see all of you here this morning. We're talking about practicing this morning. Make sure my volumes are up. We're talking about practicing because that's the part that seems to give the most trouble, I could say. What are we practicing? We are practicing the movement from the state we are in to the state we want to embody. Now, before we knew that the law existed, we were already doing it because that is the only way that we can actually live. We live by moving from where we are to where we're going. If you look at your life, you will see it. We're constantly moving from where we are to where we're going. Period. That is how we live by way of law. Now, the thing that seems to trip humanity up is that we don't think that that's what we're doing. We think that life just happens to us and we have no say, no contribution to life. And that is not the case. That kind of thinking happens because we don't know the law in its fullness, you could say. We are walking with our eyes wide open, but we see nothing. Grasp that part. That's why it looks like things just happen. This is why it looks like there's all this brutality in the world and humanity is victim to it. We're not victim to the violence. We are the perpetrators of the violence as a collective, as a whole. And the reason we do it is because we don't practice the law deliberately. Because we think they're too simple and we think, oh, well, that's just nature. That's what we think. How can what I think about predominantly affect my outside world? That's not possible. That's what we think. Because we cannot see the connection between our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So to practice, all we're practicing doing is deliberately moving instead of being moved by the force of life. The force of life is going to move you regardless because nothing stands still. It has to move. Even though it might look like it's not moving, it's just moving real slow and you can see it. But things that are invisible to the eye are moving really fast. That's why you can't see it. Why do you think the scientists tell us about the speed of light? The speed just is how fast is it moving? How fast is light moving? And when you know how fast something is moving, you can calculate mathematically the distance it can go, right? Those things come when you use the principles of creation. So now that we think that the principles of creation are so big, let's break them down into bite sized pieces so we can apply them to our everyday lives. Oh, it's too early. It's too early, sweet blood. It's okay. It's okay. So let's break it down into bite sized pieces so we can apply it to our everyday lives. How do I mean? Well, let's have a look. If you need a new job and you don't have one, what's the first thing we do? Oh my God, how am I going to pay this bill? Am I going to get evicted? How am I going to do it? And we start to panic. Now, the part that you cannot see with the naked eye is what happens when you panic. We begin to churn up the energy around us. We do. Think about it. You become frantic, don't you? You worry. That is a churning up of the energy around you. And because we are churning it up, we're magnetizing it. The more you churn it, the faster it moves. But it's not just that you're churning it, it's what type of energy, what type of mood are you churning? Worry, angst, fretting. So then, when you churn those things up unwittingly, you bring about more things that have to match it. So the way to change is to catch what you're doing. When you feel that churning happening in your belly, when you feel the worry swelling up in your chest, you have to take a moment and inhale and exhale over and over again until you feel the churning start to slow itself. When it starts to slow itself, you can think more clearly now. So instead of allowing the force of life to happen to you, you become deliberate and you say, okay, a job is required. What kind of job? Well, you have different tastes. You like different things. So you don't just go out and throw your resume everywhere. No, you don't. You simply stop what you're doing and you assess your situation. You calm yourself and you say, look, I'm good at this. Example, I'm good at reception. So I'm going to look for jobs that offer the position of reception. Why? Because I love people and talking on the phone. Because once I hang up and show you where you got to go, I don't have to deal with you again. Two birds, one stone. Right? So when you know what it is that you like to do and what it is you want to experience, now you can put that same energy you were churning and churning with worry, you can put it towards the direction you want to go in. You harness it. You've now taken the reins of a wild bull, which would be his horns. They tell you to take the bull by the horns. You saw life coming at you and you sized yourself up. You lined yourself up so that when it passed you and it got really close to you, didn't pass you, sorry. It got close to you. You reached out, you grabbed the horn and you threw yourself on its back. That's the image I want to give you. Right? So you stop what you're doing because you're frantic, you're worried, you're panicking, you're pacing. You don't see how it could be possible because you haven't made it possible yet. The possibility exists already, but because you haven't seen it because you're busy doing something else, how can it be possible? You have to see the possibility. That is what makes it possible. So when you hear the phrase, all things are possible, that's what you're saying to yourself. Wait a minute, I can see the possibility here. And if you can see the possibility as you see one, you see two possibilities, you see three possibilities, you start to get excited. It's a different kind of churning now because you can feel it. You get excited and you say, okay, I can see the possibilities. One of them will stand out to you the most. One of them will bring you the most peace. Well, think about it. It will. It'll bring you the most clarity. And you say, you know what? That's the one. And that's where you put your attention and you say, okay, that's what I want. This one. The moment you say, that is what I want, there comes an acceptance. What keeps us away from the acceptance is because we believe it is far-fetched. We don't think we have the control. Well, we think, well, there's nothing I can do. I got to take what I can get. No. You take the bull by the horns. You say, I see what it is I want now. And because that is what I want, that is what I have. I'm the one creating this experience. And really and truly, instead of creating, what you're doing is selecting the experience you want to have. If you do not select it, it cannot be possible for you. Why not? Well, you're not looking at it. It doesn't have your attention. And if it doesn't have your attention, how can you experience it? Because it's not possible to you if you're not giving it your attention. So that is how you take the principles of creation and you chew it up into bite-sized pieces so that you can apply it to your everyday life. It's the same thing. If you are going out to the car dealership to buy a car, but you walk in and the dealer says to you, hey, how can I help you today? What can I interest you in test driving? I don't know, a car. Well, clearly a car because that's where you're at. You're at the car dealership. So what we tend to do with life is we let the dealer talk us into something, but the dealer has a motive. Do you understand? The dealer has a motive. Life has a motive, expansion. So it will do whatever it needs to do by way of the law to grow and to get bigger. So you walk into the dealership and you know you want a car. So the salesman is like, yeah, I know you want a car, or that's why you're here, but what kind of car? I don't know, you choose. How he doesn't know you. How can he choose? So you and I, when we walk into the dealership, what do you want? Yes, we know you want a car, but what moves you? Four-wheel drive? Front wheel, rear wheel drive? Standard, automatic? What color? What is it, electric? Is it fuel? What? That's what I mean when I say we build our life experiences every single day. And whether we know it or not, that's what we're doing. And it always is going to begin with a choice. What do you want to experience? You cannot escape without making a choice, unfortunately. Sorry. Even if you think you haven't made a choice, the choice that you have always made in the past is the choice you will always make again. Habit. So you can't say, I don't know. You do know. So you see, life is not randomly happening to you and I. So all that we are practicing is choosing the experience we want to have. And when you choose the experience, it feels a particular way to you. Now, your choices are influenced by previous experience. Your choices are influenced by your previous experience. This is why little children can't necessarily, this is why we make choices for them. They haven't been alive long enough to say, ooh, I want this. But they can make a choice in a simple way. If you normally give them Cheerios as opposed to Frosted Flakes or Cheerios instead of Fruit Loops, don't come for me, okay? I'm just giving you an analogy. I know it's somewhat junk food, I know. But if you've always given them the option of choosing one of these two, well, they're going to choose which one they like most. So their choices are rudimentary, right? But the more you grow and the more you mature, you learn more and then you expand your range of choices. So depending on your type of life that you had growing up, those are the types of choices you will make. Okay? This is why people say, oh my God, your husband is like totally like your father. Well, what other type of man would you choose other than the first man you were exposed to? Or, oh my God, you're still mama's boy. All the women you choose are just like your mother. Obviously. But here is the thing. When we live life like that, we live it unwittingly, which means you're just doing what you've always done because that is what you've learned. Thereby, you make yourself, quote unquote, victim to the laws because you're just doing your nature, you're just compelled to do it. But when we become deliberate, we now choose instead of allowing our past memories to choose for us. Now, hear me out. It is going to be one of the most challenging things because the old things that we've done are habitual. And Neville Goddard always tells us laws are that habits are so compelling they act like a law. It's not that they act like a law, they act according to law. So that's why the habit must always be fulfilled. You must always be compelled to do what you've always done because it is your habit and it follows law. So, if you want to make a change in your life, you must first choose what type of change you want to make. And the type of change you want to make is dependent upon the current problem you're dealing with. It is always going to present itself to you. Just open your eyes or your ears, and you're going to hear, why do I keep doing this? Why does this always happen to me? That's what you're going to do. You're going to recognize that portion. And when you see it, you say, oh my God, I really want to change that. I don't like how I behave with this. I don't like that I do that. And the moment you make the choice, you're going to feel one of two things. You're going to feel the fear of changing. Can I do this? Is this possible? Man, I don't know. I should just stick with what I know. It served me well so far. There's that. Or you will say to yourself, well, I got everything to gain. I got nothing to lose. I might as well try a new thing. You'll say one or two of those things. Or we do a third thing and we say, whew, I wonder who else has done this that I can look at. That's what we say. Because as humans, we want to see the evidence of the change before we commit. But think about it. Before, when you were doing it, before you knew the law, you weren't looking for evidence of how it could be done. You weren't. You were just, well, whatever happens, happens. God willing, that's what we did. But now that you're deliberate, you look at it and you choose. You say, I don't want that anymore. So what are you going to do? You're going to do it the exact same way that you did it previously. You're going to learn a new way to do it. Now, the difference between learning the new way, the old way, and learning the new way now, you will deliberately employ your imagination. Don't get it twisted. Before you knew the law, you were walking around having internal conversations. Cussing out somebody you don't like or rehearsing something you would like to say to them. That's what you were doing. That's what I was doing. Unwittingly. Because we always generate the information from within, in our imagination, in our mind's eye. So all we did was, man, if I see this person, or you went through all the worst case scenarios. Well, if I do this, what if that happens? If I do this, what does that happen? This might happen. You see, you were already doing it back there. So now to come forward and to be deliberate, you select the type of conversation you want to have instead. inside your mind's eye. That's what you're doing that's different. You're no longer allowing the conversation to naturally emerge and go wherever it wants to. You're not at the mercy of life anymore. You are in the driver's seat of life when you select the type of conversation. But a little bit of the pushback happens because the old habit is so strong. It feels like it's got you in a chokehold and you can't change the way you think and you can't change the way you feel. But that's not true. It's just that that's the way you've always done it. So, in order to do something different, you've got to see the different possibility and then select the possibility that feels most natural to you and start doing that and seeing that in your mind's eye, because now you are in that state. You're in that new frame of mind. And in that new frame of mind, you will begin to act. So you never have to go chasing the type of action to be done. The action follows simultaneously because of the mindset you are now in. That is how you do it. That is what we are practicing on a daily basis. Moving ourselves from the way we've always done it unconsciously to deliberately now doing it the way we want it to be. That's what we're doing. So to practice, know what you want to do and recognize that you've been doing it already. Recognize that you've got a habit for this thing already. But now, as I've mentioned before many times, select the habit that you can tolerate submitting to instead of doing something that you hate because you feel like there's no other option or that you have to work really hard to bring about a change. This is why Neville Goddard could say a thing as, "It is always the imaginative man who will lead, but the man who cannot imagine will be led." This is why when you're working on a team of people, you want the one who seems most out to left field. You want the one who doesn't think within the box. You want the one who makes the box. Because he can see possibilities. He's not limited. He knows he has a limitation. And his limitation is always going to be you will follow your habit. That's the limitation. But the limitation is also the strength. You will follow your habit. But if you're the one choosing the habit, where now are you limited? Nowhere. So today, ponder what you do. Contemplate what you do. It goes for every aspect of our lives. If you've been walking around with sore back and sore knees and sore shoulders and you're constantly in pain, listen, pain, oh, shoot. Whew, nothing clouds the mind faster than pain. Because pain, understand it. You feel it in the body. It has a chemical composition. It will release its own cocktail of hormones. Because that is its nature. But don't be stuck by your pain. How so? Remember, the pain is all you are focused on because it feels like that's all you can focus on because it's in your face. You're the one who can't bend the knee to climb the stairs. You're the one who can't raise the arm with full motion. So it's always in your face. So if I say to you, you've got to put your thoughts elsewhere, you're gonna slap me. Because why? The pain, Angela, it hurts. Now, in order to help to ease your pain, relaxation is key. Why do you think they give you the anesthetic, quote unquote, the pain blocker? If the message of pain cannot get through, you don't feel it. You don't have a perception of it. But if you read, you will recognize that back in the day before anesthetic, and they needed to do something for someone, they put them in a different mental state, aka hypnosis. They got them into a very, very, very relaxed state so that the message of pain could not get through. I forget the name of the doctor who did it, but there were many of them who had these cases documented. And that's what they did. They spent the time to get this person into such a relaxed state. They gave them a singular focus, the breathing. Just breathe. And you close your eyes, and they would talk them through this situation so that they became really relaxed. So if it worked then, it wasn't by coincidence. It was through the practice of the physician. But you're the physician now in this case, because as you lay on your bed at night and you feel the pain, you're singularly focused on it. So you must experience it. But if you practice relaxation to the deepest form that you can get it, you will relieve the tension causing the pain. Now I know people who hear this will say, please, where's your degree in medicine? How do you know these things? You're just talking because you've never experienced it. But what if you put that same amount of attention on practicing relaxation? What if you did that instead? You see, sometimes what gets us? We get and we put our attention on wanting to defend a particular belief. The belief, it's, don't seek to defend it, especially if you want to change your life. If you want to change your life, practice what you hear. What have you to lose by practicing? Pain? Okay, sure. I'd take that any day, right? But this is why I say to you, be encouraged. Don't seek to always fight a situation because you don't agree with it. Where can you implement something? You go and you look it up. Look up the origin of relaxation. That is what hypnosis is. But you see, Hollywood has done a fantastic job of making us think that quacking like a duck and clucking like a chicken is hypnosis, where you don't have any sense of who and what you are. You're just manipulated blindly. That is not the case. Hypnosis is an altered state of thinking, meaning your mind is elsewhere to such a degree that the body is so relaxed and at ease. You can move if you needed to, but you don't want to because it feels really good right where you are. And if you look it up, you'll see it. If you do a little bit of research, you'll see it. Then you test it out for yourself. How else will you know? You cannot hear the person saying it and call them crazy because you don't know what they've experienced or what they've not experienced. But what you do know is that you haven't experienced it. So instead of judging them, go out and practice it for yourself. Seek to have the experience, the positive experience. And when you have the experience, you'll say something fantastic to yourself. Oh my God, It worked. Of course. And you'll be so invigorated. You'll be, oh, let me do it again. Can I do it over here? So you see how it works for pain? You see how it works for your job? It works the same in any situation. You must become aware of what it is that you are unhappy with so that you can see where you mentally want to move from, so that you can clearly see where you want to mentally move to. Because it's not your behavior that you're seeking to change. That would be molding and shaping the outside, and it's just smoke and mirrors on the outside. As within, so without. If you don't want corn to grow in your garden, you can't snip the stalk as they come up. You have to get a new seed to plant. So, that new seed is a new thought, a new way of thinking. And when you start thinking in a new way, you start feeling in a new way, and thus you start behaving in a new way. That is always going to be the process. Think it, speak it, do it. It's one motion, not three. But we're always seeking to find out, well, what should I do? You will do where your mind is. You can only act according to your mood. Test it and you'll see. If you're in a good mood, man, you'll do the fun things. But let something piss you off. Now, how are you going to behave? Do you have to stop and ask what I should behave like because I'm pissed off? No. You will act according to the mood every time. This is why you pay attention to the mood that you are in, because the mood is what compels you to act. So you got to get yourself in the mood first, and then the action follows naturally. And to get yourself in the mood, well, you talk to yourself, do you not? Well, you're always talking to yourself. We are always speaking to ourselves. So if we're always speaking to ourselves, don't just allow the conversation to happen randomly, willy-nilly. Well, it's not random. It always follows a particular train of thought, the one you habitually go with. So if you have a particular way of thinking, that's the way you'll think. Well, this will never change. If that's your habitual way of thinking, then how can you see the evidence of something new? You cannot, because the thinking hasn't changed. So instead of saying to yourself, I don't know how to do this, I can't do it, this doesn't work, instead of saying that to yourself, start looking within your mind's eye for all of the possible things that you would like to see it turn out like. That is a new way of thinking. And a new way of thinking will give you a new way to behave. So that is how we practice on a daily basis. By first recognizing, then selecting our new mood, and staying faithful to the new mood. Because the longer you stay faithful to the new mood, you begin to do the new actions. Because that's what you want, isn't it? You want to do something new. But in order to do something new, you have to become something new. And to become something new, Scripture tells us what? Be transformed by the renewing of our minds. It doesn't say be transformed by going to the gym. It doesn't say be transformed by eating differently. It says be transformed by the renewing of the mind. You renew the mind, you'll eat different. You renew the mind, you'll go to the gym. Why? Because life happens from the inside out. So stop telling yourself, oh my God, I'm so lazy. You're not lazy, you're just living by way of the old habit. If you tell yourself you're lazy, you'll never get up to do anything. But if you tell yourself, wait a minute, that's an old habit. What's a new habit that I want to do? And start to see it in your mind's eye. Always see the end result. That's Anybody will tell you that's exactly how it works. An architect has already seen the entire house. They don't see it in pieces, they see the entire thing, and then they sketch it and draw it out and measure it out in pieces. Because you have to break it down to build it. So it has to start with the full thing. If it doesn't start with the ending, what are you going to break down? You can't break down the piece. So this is why you go to the end. How do you want to experience this? Or should I say, what do you want to experience? That is the end. Because the end will bring about the tiny components, the pieces. You know this is how it happens. How do you think a curriculum is built for any kind of education? You look at the end result. What do you want the students to be able to do? And then you break it down. But you have to see it being completed in your mind's eye first. When you design a purse, when you design a pair of shoes, you see it completed first. So you have to see your new self first. You see your new self and you remain faithful to seeing your new self. Your new behaviors will arouse you to act in those little ways that build the new man you saw yourself as being. But what we try to do is build a man with little pieces. How do you know which piece goes where? You don't. So you see the full, completed image first. Because when you break it down, you can rebuild it. You must always have the format. That is what the principles of creation do on a daily basis. You reap what you've sown, day in and day out. So I'm not just telling this to you, I'm saying it to me. I'm the one who hears it first before you do. So be encouraged this morning before we say hello to everybody here. Be encouraged this morning. What is that new person? What's that new attitude? Are you tired of being a doormat? Okay. How does a doormat behave? Yes, I'll do that for you. Okay. Sure. I hate this person. They make me do these stupid things. I don't want to do these things. But if I don't do them, they're not going to like me. Doormat, right? Is that what you want to be? So if you don't want to be a doormat, what do you want to be? You want to be bold. You want to be courageous. You want to have the capacity to say, no, that is not a good idea. But here's a better one. So you have to see yourself as being that bold and courageous person. See it in your mind's eye. Now, what would you say or do that would prove to you that you're bold? What would you naturally do? Thanks, but no thanks. That was so kind of you to think of me, but I'll have to pass. Instead of accepting it and taking it home and throwing it away. So see it in your mind's eye. See the new man or woman that you want to be. And when you see it and you start hearing and seeing what you would see naturally, there's this thing that stirs up within your body, and you're like, yeah, that's me. I'm a bad mama jama. That's me. That's me. Listen, your walk will begin to change. Ah, yeah. Your swagger will begin to change. Why? Because you have the image in your mind's eye that you are. So now all of the little pieces, the ability to say no thanks, the ability to offer a solution, the ability to say, I see what you're doing there. Good for you. The ability to be your best self comes together in all these little pieces to build the one thing you've seen in your mind. So that thing you've seen in your mind is not invisible. It's not imaginary. It is the foundation of your new life. That's why you believe in it. That's why you believe in it. Because it's the foundation, and you know it's the foundation for your new life. Because you know that life starts with the seed from within. Let us take a brief moment to welcome everyone, shall we? Hey, Hilarion, nice to see you. Here on Twitter. A.M. Amani, Jeff, A. Not, the better man, son of Sonya. Y'all are the ones who've made yourselves known here in the chat on YouTube and Facebook. Who's here on Fanbase this morning? Hey, honey. Malik is here. Miss McQueen, Flo Smiles, KZ, Oracle Tree House. I see you all here this morning. Listen. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, how good and pleasant it is. Be encouraged. Oh, yeah. Right, honey? Right? Listen, be encouraged. See who you want to be in your mind's eye. But in order for you to see who you want to be in your mind's eye, you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to be bold and turn towards it. Because when you're bold and turn towards who you say you want to become, you will automatically silence the voices of the others who say you cannot. Don't seek to silence them. Because you, as soon as I say silence, here we go. Just let it out. So as soon as we say silence, you don't have to force the silence of the others. You just have to embrace what you say you are. And when you embrace that, and it has your full attention, nothing else matters. You've crowded everything else out. Why? Not in the hopes that you would change. In the inevitability of your change is what you've done. So, listen, y'all are so... I just love you guys so much. And I want you to see it within yourselves. The same way I have to see it within myself. I don't think you get it. When I said to you earlier, for those of you who are just getting here, when you learned how to behave as a child, that is what continually will have influence over you, and you will continue to do it because you've always done it. So, a vulnerable moment for me. That's what I did for the longest time. I was always the wee damsel in distress. Literally speaking, I was. As a very young child, I was. But I'm not anymore. But still that old behavior wants to rule me because I haven't yet solidified the new person. So you see, and I came to that comprehension last night. What was I doing? I was looking in the mirror. I was brushing my teeth. I was doing my nighttime ablutions. And I said, how is it that all these people can see what is inside of me? Because as within, so without. I can only project what is within me. I can't hide it. So how is it that all these people see it and I don't see it? Well, then the law can't be wrong. As within, so without. They can see it. So the only person who has to see it now is me. So what is the evidence? The evidence is the people who see it. They tell me. They tell me what they see. And it's not one person who tells me what they see. It's not two people. It's not three people. It's many people who tell me. And these people are not connected in any way. They don't know each other. But yet they're saying the same thing. So now we have a tendency when somebody says, "Oh, you have a bad attitude. Oh, you're the worst." Oh, we want to take that to heart. But if somebody says, or a couple people say to you, "But you're so this. I totally see this in you." We want to doubt it. Why is it that we're so willing to accept the bad things that people quote unquote see, but we're not willing to accept the good things that people see? So I said last night, I said, well, that many people, and these people are strangers, that many people can't be crazy. So they see something. So remember what Neville says? Begin to see the faces of the people who've seen the new you. And that's where it is. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm no longer this itty bitty, you know, little girl with afro puffs who needs to be rescued. I'm not. I'm not that. Not anymore. I'm this now. So I have to give my full attention to who I am instead of looking back at who I was. Because the moment I look back at who I was, it will grab me and it will hold me there because it is so familiar. Pillar of salt, anybody? Lot's wife? It wasn't physical. It is metaphorical. When we go back to the things we've always done, they are familiar and they hold you in their thrall. This is why you don't give your attention to the complaining. You give your attention to the creating of the new you, stepping into the state of the new you. And your behavior has no option. Your behavior now, when you assume or embody the new state, your new attitude, when you embody that, your behavior is inevitable. Your change is inevitable because it has to match the state you occupy, whatever mental state or mental mood that is. So, anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because sometimes people think, oh, Angela's living on a pedestal, living on a soapbox. Nah, y'all. No. I walk these streets. I walk these streets just like everybody else. And you have to practice every day. If you do not practice the new, you will continually do the old because a choice must be made. You can't not move. We must. It is law. So let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions in the chat. Lead with logic. Listen to this. He says internal affirmations lead to external confirmations. But of course, as within, so without. What you affirm to yourself as true is the behavior you will do. Hey, who's waxing poetic today? Anyway, but yes, KZ, renewing the mind and walking into the state. See it that way. Walk into the state. Don't create it. It is already there. You just have to walk into it. Creating is too much work and may discourage. But if you walk into the new state, which means feel better, a better mood, now you're rolling. That's it, KZ. You're on it. You're on it. So that is where I want to leave you this morning. That's where I want to leave you this morning. If you're here on Fanbase this morning, you know that today at noon we have our group coaching. If you have a problem, yes, Flow Smiles Glow, talk to me.
Is that 11 my time? I always miss it.
Eastern Standard Time. What time are you now, darling?
Central.
No, no, no. Tell me your time.
Oh, it's 7:34 now.
It's 7:34. So that's 1 hour from where I am right now. I'm 6:34. So for
So
me,
that's 11 is for me.
yes, yes, it is. See, easy as pie. So that's where it is. So if you're on fan base this morning and you're a subscriber on fan base, watch for the notification. Or just like Phil Smiles, I know how to ping her into the space because you can't get there unless you're invited. Because you won't be able to see the room on fan base if you're not invited to it, right? YouTube, y'all have your own, but so far, none of you, you have the members on YouTube, you have your own. But you have to submit your questions so that we can do a live stream for the members who want this. You see what I'm saying? You have to make use of these things. I'm giving you these opportunities. You have to make use of them. Or else, you know what ends up happening? You call me and you say, Angela, can I pay for coaching? I'm like, sure, if you want to give me your money, I'll take it. But make use of the things that you pay for in your membership presently. That's why I offered it that way. So then that makes room for the people who truly want to have that one-on-one coaching. Right? So that's where I'll leave you this morning. Let's get the bowl and bird song possibly. A.M. Amani, you've got to email me and let me know what you want to do about the trip. Yes. So, where should you put your thoughts this morning? Remember, these thoughts sometimes can be like wayward children, and they want to run amok. But discipline them. If you say, I'm thinking about this today, every time you find yourself not, go back. And your mind will stay where you put it eventually. It will submit to you. Because that's what it does. The body submits because you're creating it as you go along. Whatever state you get into, you're making the body conform to that state. If you're in a state of fight or flight, your body has to conform. And with those high levels of cortisol in the body, we wonder why we have pain. But hey, don't let me start. Don't let me start. Huh, Oracle Treehouse?
I was just agreeing with you. That part right there.
Yes. And that's what we do. And then when I say, yes, but you are the cause of your own pain, how dare you speak to me in such a fashion, Angela? How dare you tell me that? I'm not telling it to you to be mean or ignorant. I'm telling it to you so that you'll set yourself free. Because who doesn't want to be free? It is only out of habit that we remain captive. So get it in your mind's eye this morning. When you hear the bowl, what do you want to be this morning? Start seeing it in your mind's eye. Start stiffening up that spine, not stiffening it up in a way that you become rigid. Don't become rigid. Be like bamboo. Be flexible. Bend. Move. Even though we think the oak may be rigid, it still has give to it. So, which means be open to learning and growing. That's what we do. That's what we do. So, this morning, be like the guy on the field, the coach on the field, and he's got you in a huddle, and he's telling you notice how sometimes with a coach, he's not telling you how you can beat down the other team. Nah, a coach is telling you how phenomenal you are. You got it in you. You get out there and you run. You do what you're good at. And blah, 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 blah. And by the time he's done, he's got you so hyped up. You're not even thinking about your opponent. Because if you give your opponent your attention, they have you. But if you focus on what you are and what you are capable of doing, ain't nobody that can stop you. So that's where we want to be this morning with the bowl. Get in your mind's eye and see yourself. See yourself in the whole fashion of what you want to be. And then, because you're in the state, and then just allow the state to unfold around you, and you will become this glorious, glorious person. Oh, that's the love I have for you. Because that's the love I got for me, because that's what I want to be. I want to embody it. So let's do it, y'all. Let's get her done. Let's do it. Let's get the bowl. You may have bird song. He might sing some more. I don't know. But let's get it. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hilarion and Danny, A.M. Amani, Jeff, Not the Better Man, Son of Sonia, Dawn, Queen Mo, Honey, Malik, Miss McQueen, KZ, Flo, Smiles, Oracle Treehouse. Thank you all for being here on such a glorious Thursday. Thank you all. And I'll see you tonight, right? Yeah. Hey, Oracle Treehouse, go ahead.
No, I was saying I saw Don down there, and I thought he was gonna come up, but he left.
I remember I said his name, so yeah, I saw him too. But yeah, I'll see you tonight. What are we? Oh, you want to be here for this lecture tonight at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, this one is called The Serpent. Oh, you want to be here for this one? Oh, yes, you do. I was skimming through it. My, it was. You'll love it. I'll see you tonight. One moment, please. I'm coming, fanbase. Hold on. I'm just freeing up some hands.